In this video, I want to talk about the new Nuke as well as Zombies Easter eggs on Verdansk 2025. These seem to deconfirm the Nuke event and the zombies on Verdansk as being canon in a way. However, honestly, I don't really think we should be looking too deeply into this. I've been posting on the channel all of the new Easter eggs that have been added to Verdansk 2025, and all of them just seem to be developers joking about and making references to the history of Warzone, not just Verdansk specifically, but all of the other maps and resurgence maps they've had over the years, and I think that's all they really are. They're kind of just messing with us, poking at us, but honestly, I don't think there is much of a storyline anymore for Verdansk or Warzone. I think it's all been thrown out of the window basically ever since Vanguard came along. The storyline just becomes so messy and incoherent. I really do feel like 2019 to 2021 was a really good time for Call of Duty storytelling across campaign, zombies, Warzone / post-launch. It wasn't always the most consistent, but it was all building together, and this was a good start to the shared Call of Duty universe with Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2019's narratives colliding. Since then though, I feel like it's fallen into corporate genericacy where there's just no respect for the prior storytelling that came before it, and everything's sole purpose is to sell microtransactions, even if it comes at the expense of the narrative. For example, there's rumors Stitch is going to be returning next season for Black Ops 6 and he should be dead. I really hope they're not bringing another character back from the dead, and even if it's something non-canon like when they brought back Soap and that was supposed to be set in the past before his death, even then I feel like it just messes with this storyline and it's not a good thing. Everything just feels like it's cheapening everything just for the sake of selling microtransactions, which is a massive shame. And in fact, if you head to the hospital in the specific area marked on the TAC map on screen, you can find Stitch's phone on a hospital bed, as well as there is a note seemingly about him. If you read it, it says, "To the owner of this phone, how old is this thing? I couldn't track you down since there are no saved numbers / data. Also, I don't want to touch it because it seems to be covered in blood. I hope whoever was injured got stitched up." Nice pun there. So I'm just leaving it in case you come back to find it, and I hope you do. I know how it feels to forget my phone at home. It's torture. Now obviously this phone is literally from the 80s, so I don't know why they even think it's in use or how they even found it, but I don't think this is necessarily hinting Stitch is alive. Obviously this is probably taking place in modern day. It's just again another reference to Verdansk's history here. Anyways, if you come over to the top left area of the stadium, as you know, when Verdansk returned, there is a skid mark, which is the location of where the nuke actually hit within that event that transitioned us into Verdansk 84, where you can find the warhead here. And before, you know, there wasn't really much to take from this, and I thought it was just them paying homage to the history of Warzone. It's not really supposed to be a canon thing. Well, now they've added a little note to go alongside it, and if you read the note, it specifically says, "Don't forget to tighten the screws, otherwise the missile might not detonate, resulting in a catastrophic non-explosion that won't be the end of Verdansk, from Miss L, Supervisor." Once again, I don't think we're supposed to be taking this as being any sort of real storyline. I think, like I said, it's just them messing with us. They're just playing with the idea, because we literally saw the cutscene, we literally saw it explode. This is them just joking around. I don't think it's supposed to say in the canon the screws actually were loose. Obviously with Modern Warfare 3's campaign, we didn't really know if the nuke event was canon or not anymore, because they never even mentioned it, and we saw Verdansk was kind of being rebuilt in it, so it was a bit unclear if it still went off. I just think what's happened here is Warzone isn't really meant to be taken as canon anymore. Like I said, in 2019 to 2021, they were connecting it with the overall storyline, but it wasn't always done perfectly, and I think now it's become so convoluted and messy that they've just thrown it all out of the window and it doesn't really matter anymore. That's what I think has happened here, and I think Miss L, which some people are saying could be Laswell, again, I don't think this is supposed to be something we're taking seriously as being canon. It's just them joking to this history of Warzone, because Miss L, I believe, is just a pun for missile, or it could even just be saying to us, take the L. I think the developers are playing with us and they're basically telling us we shouldn't be taking this so seriously, which I think is a shame, because like I said, Warzone storytelling and the post-launch storytelling and the connected universe storytelling wasn't always perfect, but it was clear they were trying, and there were some mistakes along the way. I felt like when Alex first returned from the dead, that worked because it was a one-time thing where they brought him back, and it was even sort of hinted at within the campaign. But ever since then, they've brought back every single character known to man, especially since Graves. I feel like ever since they brought Graves back, that's where the storyline really fell off a cliff, and now they're bringing back every character, and nothing really matters anymore. They can do anything they want. They have no respect, like I said, for the prior storytelling. I think a lot of the people involved in the initial storytelling have left left the studio. Obviously, Taylor Kurosaki and co, who worked on Modern Warfare 2019, left. Obviously, he never wanted Modern Warfare to be connected with the other Call of Duty games and Black Ops games, but they decided to do that because it was better for Warzone being the shared Call of Duty hub, essentially, and having crossovers from all of the different games with operators, etc. But I think they didn't expect Warzone to be so popular when they were developing it. The Modern Warfare writers left, and I think it's all just fallen off a cliff, and probably the old writers for Warzone and the other modes as well, such as that Ravensoft working on the Black Ops Cold War campaign. I feel like a lot of those people have left as well, and that's why the storyline is really falling apart. I definitely do believe these are meant to just be gags and references to the history of Warzone, because if you come over to the left of the gulag at the bottom by the shore, as you know, there are 2 different dead zombies, which are a reference to when the zombies took over when the Vodiano ship crashed into the coast of Verdansk, / a reference to the haunting of Verdansk. They even have 2 vials, stim shots that you can collect, and now they've also added a new note referencing this as well that you can interact with on the boat, and it says, "Madam, you may have received a letter just 1 day ago about your husband's death. Please disregard. I am delighted to inform you that he is, in fact, making a full recovery. He is awake, albeit disorientated, and already has quite an appetite. I believe he will be up and waking again in no time. The remaining text is covered in blood." Once again, I think this is just a joke. It's not something we're supposed to take as canon. This is just a reference to when the zombies overran the map and then it had to be nuked. Basically, they're saying her husband did turn into a zombie, which is why the note is covered in blood, and he has an appetite, but they're just turning it into a gag, into a joke, when communicating with his wife. I don't think this is supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be canon. It's just messing with us. It's just a joke. And I think that's all these Easter eggs are. They're just jokes and references to the past. For example, we have the red door returning as well. That has a note referencing it. "This door must remain closed due to unforeseen disappearances. We are sorry for the inconvenience. Administration office." Again, this is just them joking about the doors teleporting us in the past. It's nothing that's supposed to be taken as canon. The canon is no longer. The canon has fallen apart. There isn't really a canon anymore, unfortunately. And it is a shame for us who have been hooked on the storytelling. And speaking of the nuke and zombies, with this update, we have gotten some non-Easter eggs because we've seen the removal of 2 prior Easter eggs. So this first one is, in the quarry, there used to be one of the Modern Warfare Zombies' vials on this bed. We didn't really know what this was for, but with the latest update, it's now disappeared and it's gone. So I don't know if this is building to something in the future, maybe this year's haunting event. And secondly, in one of the bunkers, there used to be a calendar with a picture of the nuke event, with the date highlighted of when it actually happened in-game. However, with the latest update, that's also been removed. Again, I'm not really sure why. I guess it wouldn't really make much sense saying the screws were loose whilst they have an image of the nuke actually going off on the map. There's not really any consistency here. I think basically what they figured is the storyline started becoming so messy that they're just not really going to have a proper storyline for Warzone anymore. When they think something can be fun, they might incorporate it into the storyline, but for the most part, they're just doing whatever they think is going to be best for the player base and having fun, instead of having to tie themselves down towards canon. Because, you know, having a canon means that they have less freedom to do as wild and crazy things, because they have to say, well, how does this make sense in terms of the world building? And I think this is them essentially saying it's all getting thrown out of the window for the sake of that, which I think has its pros and cons, but overall it's a shame to see that all of our theorizing over the years has ended up colliding into this mess of nonsense. I really think it would have been better than just ignoring the nuke event, never telling us if it was canon or not, and just leaving it up to our own interpretations to speculate about, instead of turning it into a gag, into a joke. In the gulag, there is another Easter egg here where there is a note on this bench by this paddle that says, "As thanks for your protection in here, I thought you'd like this freshly cleaned vintage paddle from your home of Caldera. Just please don't ever ask me how I smuggled it in here," probably putting it in his ass, your cellmate. So once again, this is just a reference to the history of Warzone, and that's all these Easter eggs should be taken as. I don't think there really is any storytelling here. Nothing to me has indicated that. It just indicates that these things are all just jokes and references. Feel free to disagree though, maybe there is some sort of storytelling here, but to me, it doesn't seem so. It all just seems like it's being completely thrown out of the window. And it is a shame, because I do think the Call of Duty universe could have been done correctly. I know I see many people in my comment section nowadays saying they wish Modern Warfare and Black Ops never connected, but I think that's only because you're seeing the aftermath of how it went wrong. When it was initially starting, when they had, for example, Imran Zakhaev in Black Ops Cold War's campaign, or when we saw crossovers in Warzone in the past with the Black Ops Cold War post-launch story, I felt like that was all done very, very well. Like I said, I think the shared Call of Duty universe only became messy with Vanguard. When they tried to do the Black Ops crossovers at the end of the campaign, that didn't work well and just felt really cringy. And then the campaign storyline completely fell off a cliff post-launch with everything going on with Butcher and Godzilla and all of these things. And I think it's become so messy now that, like I said, they're not trying to stick to anything. They're just going to say, fuck it, we're going to do whatever's fun. Screw you guys for caring so much about the story. That's what's happening here. At the end of the day, I think most people playing Call of Duty just play it because they have fun enjoying the gameplay and they don't care that much about the storyline. But back in the day, like I said, 2019 to 2021, I feel like people were interested in the Verdansk storyline and the Warzone storyline. The only reason they don't care anymore is because they've made us not care. They haven't shown any consistency in their storytelling. They're constantly contradicting themselves and bringing back dead characters, and that's why everyone's lost interest, because it feels like it's pointless even bothering to care because it's not going to lead to anything special. There's no actual Easter eggs or theories we can have because the developers don't even care enough to confirm or deny them, and they're just going to make a mockery of it like they've done with all of these recent references. There is no canon anymore. There really isn't, and it's a shame. But yeah, I'm really rambling in this video. I do apologize. Thank you for watching. I'll see you with plenty more videos to come. Hopefully less rambly than this.